development of the amplifier at Gibson. It's pretty rudimentary, those early amplifiers.
I bet they were.
They were pretty simple. Not much power. 7 to 8 watts was a lot of power back in those days.
Well, a 10-watt tube amp can put out some sound.
It can, absolutely it can.
No
but they had,
and I'm
they
sure
had
it wasn't
lots
a
of,
solid state back then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were running tubes, right?
Well, you have to understand that back in those days, they had a lot of technological issues that were just not solved yet. Like speakers, for one. Speakers back in those days didn't have permanent magnets.
Yeah, right.
Okay? They had field coil magnets.
You're right.
So you had everything was running on coils of wire, and that's very inefficient and heavy and
with
problematic.
very, very dirty power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And those amps hum like crazy. They never stop humming, and it's because of the field coil speaker.
Well, just think about when we were kids, right? On Saturday morning, walking by the screen as Speed Racer was on. You'd walk in front of that cathode ray tube, and all your hair would go. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, now
true.
go back another 40 years.
My parents were always confused, but because I would walk into a room, and I could walk into any house anywhere, didn't matter where it was. But if I walked into a house and said, "TV's on," they would look at me like, "How do you know the TV's on?" And I said, "I can hear the transistor scream."
You can hear them.
Yeah, you can hear that little high-pitched scream of the Yeah, super high. They couldn't hear it. They had no idea what I was talking about.
That's crazy. Now, Kurt Vonnegut used that was a star drive, and Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know if you ever read any Kurt Vonnegut, but
No, I can't say I have.
It was an engine where they squeezed the power out of little tiny stars, and there was stars screaming. Anyways,
Okay.
Kurt Vonnegut was was a bizarre guy. Anyways.
It can be done, I guess.
Anyways, let's go back to music here. So we're going to talk about pickups as well and go forward here, right? So we can pick up. There's a lot of crazy pickups, right? What I learned, Horseshoe was one of the first ones.
The Horseshoe pickup is
the
one of the first commercially available, because it showed up in the 1922 Rickenbacker frying pan.
Yeah. Okay. So you had to, and then the soapbox and the go.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you start at the Rickenbacker, obviously the Horseshoe was a rather unique idea where you literally had a magnet that was shaped like a large horseshoe.
Yeah.
And the strings passed through the middle of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
The strings of the guitar.
The strings of the guitar passed right through it.
Oh, no.
The magnet was over the top. Okay. And then you had the coil below, and the strings passed over the coil and through the magnet.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was rather unique. Ry Cooder actually stuck one in his Stratocaster. He calls it the Coodercaster.
The Coodercaster.
Yeah, and
Coodercaster.
He plays it to a very fine effect.
How cool! I mean, that sounds like it'd be something that somebody ought to keep
It's a strong pickup. You really
bet
have to hear
it is.
Yeah, it's a very strong pickup.
Is it clear? Was it any good?
Oh yeah. It's very well. Listen to any Ry Cooder recordings.
Yeah.
You know.
I have to pick them up and start listening.
Rickenbacker made some really fine lap steels using that pickup. They're very heavy because they were made out of.
Was that their gig in the beginning? Was the lap guitars?
For the electrified stuff, it was.
Yeah,
It was the beginning because the frying pan is a lap steel.
Right.
Okay, and then they went to the Bakelite.
Yeah.
Looked like a little small Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and they continued to use that pickup for quite a while, and then they began to redevelop the pickup idea and maybe streamline it. And there were a lot of different companies. You know, Epiphone had their Electar. This was before Epiphone ever became part of Gibson.
Yeah. Back
Their
in the
Electar
day,
system, they had a rather unique pickup where they wound their coil like a transformer, and it had leaves. It had layers with insulating leaves between each layer. So there were multiple layers in the pickup, and they would do all sorts of
what was
weird.
The idea
they would
behind
tie
that?
on
Was
a
it just
tab.
insulation from the electricity?
Frankly,
from
I don't
filtering
know
itself?
what their thinking originally was, but I've actually unwound those pickups and discovered that when you run a whole layer off, there's a piece of fish paper in there.
Yeah.
And you have to peel that off and then keep going, and there's another layer of fish paper.
Okay.
So every time they put a layer down, they had a piece of fish paper in there, which was rather unusual, but they certainly worked, and they were very clean.
I wonder if they just adapted that from what they knew.
It's transformer technology.
Yeah,
it's
just
power
pure
transformer technology.
Power transformer. They figured, well, we got to do it this way, right?
I guess they did.
Done, we got to do it this way.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened. I mean, you have to remember, all those guys were experimenting. They were creating stuff that nobody had ever seen before, and they were taking other guys' ideas and expounding upon it.
Yeah.
And then,
so then let's go on. Let's move, man.
the
Let's go
mighty
through it.
Leo Fender.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Burst
Leo
upon the
Fender,
scene.
who taught us that
Now,
vibrato is tremolo.
yeah.
Whoops.
Well, not to take anything from Gibson, because Gibson had some pretty experimental guitars too. They had one guitar where they took a single coil and elongated it. It's like this long, and it has 6 coils, and it is mounted under the strings at a incredible slant. It's huge. You can look it up.
kidding.
They didn't produce that for very long, but it was an interesting concept.
Well, I mean, you can't take anything away from Gibson. Gibson took what Beauchamp and Rickenbacker were screwing around
Right,
with,
they were playing around with different ideas.
and took it further. And with the help of Christian and Benny Goodman, whatever, started rocking and rolling with it. And
There's
and,
a
and
little
moved
known
on, right?
there's a little known company called Vega.
Okay.
That made a rather unique guitar that had 6 shotgun shells with bobbins wound that fit inside the shotgun shells. Okay, and they put the magnet where the primer coil, primer charge would be.
Yeah.
And they made 6. They staggered 3 and 3,
Okay.
and made a 6
It's a 6 year.
pole, a 6 coil pickup, the first hexaphonic pickup ever made that I'm aware of.
At least
they made that.
At least
They
out
made
of
that-
shotgun shells.
Yeah, out of shotgun shells, and it was made in the late 40s.
That sounds like a pickup for me.
It was a rather interesting idea.
Now, why didn't ZZ Top play with those exclusively?
I can't
Did they
answer
not
you.
know?
I can't answer. Oh no, they knew.
I can't
mean,
imagine.
these guitars have been
I
around
can't
for a while.
imagine Dusty not using that.
There's not. Technology changes what these things can do or can't do, and if you pick the right technology for what you're planning to do with it, you'll end up with a great result. But pick the wrong technology and just the opposite.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the beauty of music and it's the beauty of artistry. Everybody's got a different ear,
And all the experimentation is endless.
and all the experimentation is endless. And you got people trying to get the next best thing, or driving for that next. Where is my sound? I can't find my sound. I can't find my sound. And then
Well-
and they drive for it, and then they find it, right?
What I hear constantly is people
Yeah.
coming in the door. They say, "I've got a sound in my head. I want to get it out. I want to try to reproduce that." And I'm like, "Okay." First problem is I can't hear what's in your head.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a problem.
And the second problem
Thank
is
the Lord.
yeah. There's a few women I would have liked to hear what they had saying in my, but that's beside the point. But the other problem is that most musicians don't know the language of tone.
Yeah.
They walk in and they say things like, "Well, I'm looking for a pickup that sounds fat or girthy,
Yeah.
or wide or fat or chunky or sizzly,
Thick.
thick." They give me these names. They give me these words, and that's their description of tone. What would really help me a lot is if they would say, "Yeah, I want something with a spike at about 300 hertz."
Yeah.
That would make it easy.
There you go.
Or if somebody would sit
if they
down
said,
and
if it was
compile
kind of
all
like
these
if you could-
words and equate them to the frequencies, it would really help.
So when if you go to the doctor or whatever, you go to the hospital and they have a chart that shows what's your pain 1 through 10.
Yeah,
It's got
1
the
through
smiley
10.
on.
That's you know what, they never said that when I was a kid.
So
they
can
didn't
you
start that until
can
later.
you put like Stevie Ray Vaughan here and Robert Cray here and then they
Yeah,
go
that
okay
wouldn't-
between these two where are you going this side and do enough of those down that where you go okay I got the sound.
You might could do that. But,
Maybe
but,
put it-
but frankly, I mean, both those guys play strats that are rather different in
Do you
physical
think?
makeup. But they're both strats and they both have single coils.
Yeah,
and
but
why
they-
don't they sound the
They
same?
don't sound anything like
Yeah.
each other.
And then there's the thing that we all know and really don't like, but the tone is not in the gear; it's in your hands. You know, that's the
yeah.
one we don't want to deal with that part.
No, we don't want to deal about that. That the music is not in the guitar; it's
No,
actually in you.
we're all looking for that magic piece of gear
Well,
that
yeah,
makes
I
it
was just
sound like
reading.
our idol.
I think it was Loudwire or something like this had the like the top 10 musicians that played cheap guitars.
Right,
Like
right.
Prince. Prince played that Telly that was like $100 guitar.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta say this now that you said that, because one of my favorite cheap guitars of
Yeah.
the time period, it's no longer cheap now, they're vintage, is the Supro stuff or the Valco stuff.
Yeah.
They had a guy who developed an interesting pickup, which is much like this. You have a coil, the magnet is sideways,
Mhm.
and it gives you a different kind of sound because the field instead of on a standard Strat, the feel goes like this.
It's not. It's going.
Okay, this one is going sideways.
Yeah.
Now, the feel going like this is in that tiny curve area. That's where the string goes through.
That's where you want
and
the string.
That's a very concentrated little half round of magnet power where the string goes through. On this, you've got the long field. The long section of the field is now parallel with the string. So the string is flowing through the long field instead of the short field.
Okay, so what does that do to the sound? Does that make it louder, or does that make it
It tends
thicker?
to make
What
the
is it?
pickup more sensitive.
I don't know what the hell that means.
Okay, it's a little tricky, isn't it? It's not as intuitive as you think it was. And don't forget, the coil itself and how many wraps it has plays a part in this.
Is that sensitivity as in gain, or is it? Are you
It's picking sensitivity. Think about it. If you pick lightly, you get a light tone. You pick hard, you get more.
You get a bigger tone.
Yeah, you get a bigger output, a bigger sound.
And if you pick with your fingers on an electric guitar versus a pick, it's different. Or
it's very different, right?
Or 8.5, or 8.8, or a 1, or 1.2, or 1.5, or 2, all different. Different.
Right.
A shell,
So
a not
imagine
shell,
having-
a nylon pick.
Imagine having an overwound pickup, an overwound single coil pickup.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually wound to almost the same resistance reading or impedance reading as a full Gibson series humbucker. Okay, and a single coil that reads 8K.
Yeah.
Okay, with a magnet that is laying on its side so that the coil is on the long side, or the string is going through the long side of the
Right.
the magnet field.
Right.
You get a fiery, in-your-face, hot pickup with not too much high end, because the hot coil is attenuated the high end off a little bit, but this thing is in your face and it has picking dynamics that is really good. It's what Jack White uses.
So I'm going to fire names, and you tell me what pickup I need to make that sound.
Well, I'll try.
Give it a try.
You pitch them and I'll swing at
We'll
them.
see.
We'll
If
see
it
I
doesn't
hit or
work, I'll
miss.
cut it out of the. I'll cut it out of the video.
Go for it.
And if it makes no sense whatsoever, I'll keep it in the video. I'm just kidding.
Well,
So Jimmy Page, what am I playing?
oh, you're playing either
easy.
okay, depending on which song.
Okay, the
you're-
grunge.
When he played live, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really versed
All right,
on that
then you give
particular
me.
song.
Jimmy.
But if you look at what he's playing live, it's a Les Paul. It's a 58 Les Paul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? If you look at some of
What
what
about the
he's
Rain
playing
song?
like,
I was just reading about the Rain song and how he was inspired to do that because I think it was Paul
Well, no,
McCartney,
that was his
George
Silvertone.
Harrison said these guys
That's
are good,
Lips-
but they can't play.
That's the
they've never
Silvertone.
written a ballad, right? Yeah.
That's the Silvertone lipstick pickup.
Okay.
Okay, or the Dan Electro, whatever you want to call
All
it.
right. What about the Lemon song? Totally different.
Same thing.
Is it really?
And a telly.
Oh,
Because he's not just doing one guitar. In the studio, they do whatever they want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Of course.
They'll put this track down with that guitar and that track with another guitar.
But on stage.
But you can tell when he's playing those guitars because they have that specific signature tone.
Yeah. Now Keith Richards, we've been through Keith Richards.
Right.
A million times.
So that's really the three main guitars that he tended to play. Although he had a few other guitars that he uses, especially acoustics and stuff. But yeah, he was either the Les Paul humbuckers or the Dano lipsticks or the Telecaster.
Yeah.
Which he's famous for doing the solo
Okay.
from
Stairway. Let's just keep with famous name Hendrix.
Oh well, everybody knows that's the '69 Strat.
Yeah.
You know?
Just straight up. He didn't mess with anything.
The famous Abigail Ybarra wound pickups.
Abigail Ybarra.
Yeah, well, she was the technician at Fender who wound all those pickups at the time, and they knew that that's what she had wound. It was in his Strat.
Okay.
So they actually brought out the Abigail Ybarra set a few years ago before her death, and she wound them all. She was at Fender until she retired.
Okay. Harrison.
Oh, well, I mean, Gretsch Country Gentleman.
Yep.
It's going to be, Filtertrons.
Yeah, Filtertron's beautiful sound.
Yeah, I love it. I really love the
That is a
Filtertron.
great. What about
Strong,
Orbison? What
clean,
did Orbison
clear.
play? Was he a Gretsch? He was a hollow body.
I don't remember what Orbison was playing. I've seen him in videos with several different things, but I really don't remember. I know he did that traveling wheelbarrows thing, and he was playing with a cheap Gretchen which had a junk humbucker in it. In my opinion. But,
maybe that's why I remember that because that's the last he did was really the traveling wheelbarrows stuff.
But the early
What's Petty?
stuff, I
What
thought
Petty?
he was playing
Petty
a
was
Gibson.
pretty plain and simple, right?
I thought he was playing a big hollow body Gibson, but I don't remember if that was a P90 or a humbucker.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'd have to do some digging on that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
What was it? What the other one? What was
Petty.
it? Oh, Petty. Oh, it was Rickenbacker.
Petty did play Rickenbacker.
Yeah, he
didn't
played Rickenbacker, man.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
loved those toaster pickups and that other pickup, that nail head pickup that they call it. It's a single coil, but it instead of having a toaster slot, it has big nail heads on it. They're round button heads with no adjustments. You know?
Okay.
Some folks call them nail head pickups. They still make those. They still have them in their guitars today.
Very cool. There you go. I'll
There's-
end it right there. Other people,
there's
just
so
throw it
much.
out names, put them in the comments, man. Comments work.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything
Comments
you
are
want us
working,
to-
boys.
Anything you
And
want
girls.
us to do some research on, we'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, we'll research whatever you want us to, and we'll run it past Bruce's litmus test. And he also knows a ton of people who know probably as much as he does. I'm sorry, they do as much as he does.
Well, don't forget all
but
of
about
these-
different things, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a bunch of things that you
Well-
specialize in and probably know deeper of, and other people know deeper than
Sure.
that, and other people know deeper and deeper in
Well,
different things, right?
I'm
Just
an,
like playing guitar.
I'm an
as soon as you
expert
think
in
you're
some
good.
weird things, that's
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
yeah, and most of it's useless if you're
Yeah,
like me.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You ask me anything you want to about Gibson protector cases, and I can tell you.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Yeah.
how many people even care?
Yeah,
you
just
know?
well, keep that tucked away. You might be, Alex. I'll take Gibson protector cases for $1,000.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
never know.